Hey there. Have you ever heard the advice that if you're having challenges in your marriage, to have a baby and that will fix everything? Oh my God, there is so much wrong with that advice. I don't even know where to start. I'm Leslie Dories, your marriage coach, creator of the Hero Husband Project, and owner of Foundations Coaching. And, the statistics actually show that marital satisfaction takes a hit while the couple is raising children because children are time consuming and they're challenging. And the thing is that a child should only be brought into the world if you are ready and willing and able to deal with that little person for at least 18 years. And as the parent of two children in their 20s, it doesn't stop at 18. I'm still their mother. They still matter to me. They just didn't disappear off the face of the planet, thank goodness. But this idea that somehow having a little creature that is going to require constant attention for at least the first 2 years of their lives, and then a lot of attention after that, it is not a recipe for repairing a marriage that is struggling. In fact, now, it might temporarily buy you some time because during the time that you're focusing on the child, you may be able to make a certain level of peace with your partner because you're not focusing on the relationship with your partner, you're focusing on being parents instead of being partners. And by the way, we can get a lot of our affection and love needs from a child because there's not quite anything as wonderful as a little kid putting their arms around your neck and telling you that they love you. It pretty much lights up your world. Um, so children can be used as a substitute, which I don't recommend because, by the way, they actually feel that. And actually, your partner isn't necessarily going to like it. But in terms of helping you resolve whatever's going on in your marriage, I don't think that adding a stressful situation to an already stressful situation, they don't cancel each other out. They add together and they create more stress and more tension. And that's not a good environment to raise a child in. And so this idea, and by the way, I feel this way about anybody who tells you or asks why you don't have a child or says you should have a child for whatever reason, because the only person who should be making a decision about whether or not you have a child is you. And whether or not they're disappointed that you're not having a child or they think that being a parent is the best thing in the world and you don't want anything to do with it, that's okay. You don't have to have a child. In fact, if you don't want a child, please God, don't have one, because they're challenging enough when you do want them. And they deserve to be wanted, and they don't deserve to be some kind of peace offering or some kind of relationship repairing item. First off, they can't do that. It doesn't actually happen that way. And and it's not okay to bring a child into the world into an unstable relationship if you can at all help it. So purposely doing it is setting you all up for failure. And like I said, there's just so much wrong with this piece of advice that it just never needs to be mentioned again. But if you're thinking that, or if somebody has suggested that to you, respectfully thank them and run in the opposite direction, because there's nothing good can come of that. And I would say the same thing. It's like, I don't think you should get married if you get pregnant for exactly the same reason. I had a client many years ago. They got pregnant. They'd been dating for like 3 weeks. She got pregnant. They got married. They were not a good fit. But because you get married when you get pregnant, it just adds more stress than a relationship can handle. And again, so that's all I've got to say on the subject. If that is something that you've run into or you maybe have done and are now trying to figure out how to make it work, because as Dr. Phil says, sometimes you make the relation, you make it work because you know um, that's what you decide to do. And that's not to say you can't make a relationship work if you have a baby, but just having the baby itself is not going to be a solution. And you're still going to have to work to figure out how to put the relationship together in a way that works for both of you. And like I said, adding this third little entity that requires a whole lot of time and attention makes that much more difficult. So hopefully you have found that helpful. If you would like to know more, oh, by the way, please feel free. I would love to hear your comments on this, whether or not you've experienced people making that suggestion to you, um, or anything else you want to share with me. Please put it down in the comments. Please subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate it. Let me know your thoughts about this. And if you want some personal help with this, maybe your relationship is struggling and at some point in time you would like to have a baby, but you know now's not a good time, then I'm happy to help you get it on the right footing so that when you do add the baby, you have the foundation to support them. And you can send me a direct message down below. You can put a comment down below. You can send me an email at Leslie at Foundations Coaching. And until next week, stay loving.